Ready to rock and roll?
We are indeed.
Yes.
Right, Angus, do you know what to do? Clap us in.
Welcome to the Whisky Stories podcast.
That's it. Honesty, that's the job of the ambassador done. Or the salesperson.
Yeah.
Just having that one point on the bar out of everything. And that then becomes the biggest seller every time that individual's on
that's
shift.
it.
At the end of it, I said, any questions? He said, yeah, what do the numbers mean?
What, really?
Good news. Blending room's open. Bad news. Door's fucked.
Welcome along to the Whisky Stories podcast. Hoose Drams edition. We're in Mark Thomson's kitchen, I guess.
I think it's the first time we've ever just gone to a guest house.
Yes. That's it.
Yeah. Uninvited as well.
Uninvited. The door
just turned up.
was left open.
We're just walking past.
The door was left open. We just thought, oh, that place looks nice and it's for sale. So yeah, just while we get the plugs in, this is your gaff.
It is indeed my wee pad.
Soon to be sold off. If anyone listening is interested.
Yeah. Well, it's been 10 days on the market, a good bit of interest. Popped it up on my socials, that helped.
Good.
And then got featured in the Scotsman, that helped.
Yeah. And now you're on the Whisky Stories podcast.
I mean, it's the natural progression.
That's it. We didn't know whether to go down Homes Under the Hammer route or MTV Cribs.
If this doesn't
If it was
sell
Homes Under
after,
the Hammer, I'd have been saying, knock down that wall.
if I'm hoping with your global reach, this is the killer blow that this house needs.
I think this will get us over the line once we sort out our commission, of course. But no, Mark, you're leaving town.
I am, yeah. Well, I spend a lot of time up in the hills, the dogs.
Yeah.
And Michelle, she can work from remotely. So we're not going too far. We've got a place out in Perth. So
Nice.
it's, acre and a half garden. Nothing around it other than fields.
Just feels right.
And so it's ideal. We'll miss this. Edinburgh is a fabulous city, but actually it's only 50 minutes door to door.
Yeah.
So it's under an hour and we're back in the city.
Exactly.
So it just gives us that balance a little bit better. And it takes an hour out of my journey when I'm always heading up the A9, either go up to a distillery or go up a mountain.
Well, absolutely.
Cuts that distance
Convenient.
short.
If you follow you on social media or Instagram, it's like you're either whiskying, you're running, or you're dog walk. I was going to say dogging, but dog walking.
Shout at the dogs.
Careful, Graham.
The good thing is this new place, the local pub is Gleneagles.
Oh, well.
20 minutes. So I'm like, result.
That's tough. That's a tough gig there. But we have drams. We've got some drams here because I brought some drams because I wasn't sure whether
Most of the stuff is packed
up and things like that. But we've got some drams. We've brought the Tomatin Virgin Oak, 6-year-old Virgin Oak. There's a few of these bottles left. This was my Whisky-gasm whiskey that we had up at the Tomatin Distillery. I've had it since, and it still stands up to how I felt at the time when I tried it. I just remember that moment. It was the first dram of the day whilst we'd been travelling up, and something I've been actually desperate to crack open when we did our Glenmurray.
I remember this being a very, very nice drum.
Yeah, we did our Glenmurray trip, Angus, when we were up. I'm trying to write a bit of content which is called My Wet Hot Whisky Summer, which because this summer we've had some great trips.
We have, up to Elgin was a real highlight, getting taken around Glenmurray.
Yeah, of course, like Rosebank and Glengoyne as well that we've done. But it's the Glenmurray House exclusive because we were in the Glenmurray House. I thought, well, if we're doing a Hoose Dram,
Bring a house exclusive.
exactly, and that's it.
Cool.
And then of course, as a wee gift, I've decided to brought my Lindores Abbey cask, my own cask that was bottled, 5-year-old first fill Rioja cask. 60.6%, bit punchy, but it takes water well. And please
get some water.
take that up for you. But so how long have you been here, Mark?
8 years.
8 years.
We've got a wee little cap pouring.
Oh, look at that! There you go.
Wow.
Very
Isn't that
nice.
cute?
Yeah, that's very
It's
cute.
actually a soya jug, but it's cool.
And where had you been before? Had you been?
London. So we came up. Both Michelle and I had lived in London separately, 16 years. We met at the latter end of that, and then in Walthamstow. Well, all over. When I first moved out to London, I was in Brixton, just after the riots.
Oh wow!
That was fun. Cheap. And then Pimlico and met Michelle. She was highway in Islington, and we moved up to Walthamstow, and then we came up here. We used to come up all the time. Cheers.
Cheers.
Keen to try this. But did you say the strength on this was?
I'm looking at that. It's 13 years of age. Bottle number.
That's
350 bottles. Distillation date 2010.
Smells about 57.6.
57.7, Mark. Well,
0.1% out.
he's good, eh? He's good.
First analysis, I'd
Cheers.
say. Cheers.
Cheers.
It's a cracking nose on it.
Yeah. Tremendous. Madeira cask finish, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Madeira. I mean,
Is it a finish
actually
or
like Madeira
it's not a full
sponge and
maturation, is
maple
it?
syrup.
Madeira matured, actually.
Full maturation.
So it must be
Madeira.
full maturation
Yeah.
in there, yeah.
Oh, it would be being Glenmorangie, yeah.
Yeah.
That's delicious. So yeah, we've been kicking about. We've been coming up to Edinburgh loads. Michelle did both her degrees here, and so she'd quite a lot of our friends are here, and we'd come up during the festival, Escape London,
Yeah.
and then wander around going, "What are we doing in London? This is great." And I suppose you get to certain cities are great when you're a certain age.
Yeah.
And I loved London when I first moved down there. I was like 25, 26. Because I was working in the hospitality, all my pals were in the hospitality, so you were eating and drinking in the best places but not having to pay the full whack for it.
Yeah.
And that's just the way that the hospitality industry in London works. It's a moving wheel on the outside of consumers.
Right.
You know, and everybody gets to swap a,
Yeah.
you come in, I'll pour you a drink, and next time I come in, I'll give you, that kind of thing. But then you get to a certain point, and we used to joke about it, that you couldn't step off out of your front door in London, or if you did, you might as well just throw 50 quid in the gutter straight away.
Really?
Because it's just, we'd come back from being out and going, we just went out for 2 coffees and a bit of cake and a spot of lunch, and we're 120 quid down.
Yeah.
How? Okay, not all the time, but when we came up to Edinburgh quite often, not that it's bargain basement here,
No.
but we realised that all of a sudden you were getting all the arts, all the culture, all the travel, the sort of mix of community that draws people here, and it's just like a mini London.
Yeah.
Without the dirt, like
Yes.
the smog and the underground. So yeah, we found this place. I actually came up after tasting. I was hanging, and I came up to view it, and the guy made me a coffee. I sat there, made me a coffee. I was like, this is great, and I was hanging. And I phoned Michelle and said, I found a great house. She never viewed it.
Really?
Bought it without
Just
ever viewing
trusted you. There you go.
it. Well, let's just say with this house we're buying, she's been round 4 times more than me this time. I didn't get 2 bites of that cherry, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And were you working on Whisky at that point?
Yeah.
Right, so was that Glenfiddich, or was this when you were...
I moved up here when I was with Glenfiddich.
Right.
We actually needed to focus on Scotland for a little bit, so it worked really well.
Yeah.
And I'd sort of said to the bosses, look, I'm going to move and I'll either be employed by Glenfiddich or not.
Right.
Not that it was an ultimatum, but the timing was perfect for it.
And how hard is it then, working for a brand, like a Scotch brand, a whisky brand, that's based out of Dufton, when you're down in London? Because everyone, I've noticed it, even when we're doing the podcast and things like that, is the amount of people that, it makes so much more sense when you realise that actually most of these people, brand ambassadors, sales executive, marketing people, even like the folk that are probably not necessarily needing to be at the distillery every single day, just live in that central belt, because the commute would be absolutely ridiculous if you were to have everybody based out of the distilleries that you're working on.
Yeah.
But does it create challenges when you're disconnected from that?
I suppose it depends on the role you've got, and that's the importance of a really well-structured sales team. So we had a fabulous team in Scotland, a fabulous team that looked after those particular areas. And, whisky is all stories, as we know. And it's about relationships and building connections with people. And quite a lot of the guys, we had salespeople that just looked after Shoreditch. That was it, just Shoreditch.
Really?
Yeah, and then just Soho, because there was so much business to be done there. And it was just a constant, you've got to go in, be seen, because as soon as you walk out the door, a rep from another one's in. Yeah. And then if you've got an ambassador to then embellish that offering, take these in, we'll come in, we'll do a tasting, or we'll do a dinner. And it's a constant grind. Then you've got the brand home, the distillery. And that was always used, certainly when I was with Glenfiddich, it was used as the sort of holy grail, the beacon. And it was quite a good sales tool, because you could say to people, right, look, do this promotion for a month with us, and the top 3 selling whiskies off your bar, the 3 people that sell the most of it, we'll take them up to Dublin. Great accommodation, and actually you'll find quite a lot of distilleries now will have that on-trade hospitality offering for industry to further sales.
It's one thing that we've been very lucky.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not. I mean, even beyond that, you've got things like Glenmorangie House.
Yeah.
Well, they've actually, got but.
Well, we've had it. Like we like we when we first started speaking to people, and we were actually having a conversation with Jane Ross and Shan Buchan, and they were talking about like getting sent to Islay, like Ardbeg saying, "We'll bring you guys to Islay because we want you." Yeah. And I think we spoke to you about it, Mark. We've spoken to other people about it. How like brands will really a good whiskey brand will really look after the people that sell the product.
You can't be everywhere.
Yeah.
So as soon as you get, and you see the light bulb moment in a lot of people. When I used to love taking groups up to Glenfiddich. It was a real riot. Probably broke a few things in places that shouldn't have. I thought it was a riot.
Yeah, these are the stories we've been hearing about at buses of Edinburgh pub, workers and minibuses going up.
We lost the keys for the blending room one day. So it was actually a load of bartenders from Edinburgh, Big Red Teapot. So Colin Church, it's Voyager Buck and Blackbird. And
okay.
So we had about 9 of their best up, and we had a real hoot. We were along at the Downs for dinner, I think. Or we were somewhere off site, and we were driving back on the bus, and we were going over the bridge at Craigellachie next to the Telford Bridge, and it was high summer, so the sun's not quite set. It was a kind of bright night, and the river's really low. And I said, "Anyone fancy a swim?" So we stopped the bus and we took everybody down to the river. Sensibly, I went out to the outside. There's a fast current on the outside, but there's a bit that's kind of sloped, and I said, "You don't go any further than this. I'm going to stand here and nobody comes past me." So it was all done. But everybody down to their undies, into the spray. Midnight, a couple of drams on the beach. And in the morning I got up first, because that's part of it. It doesn't matter if you're last to bed, you're first up. Got myself ready, went down to the visitor centre, and the head guide's like, "Key for the blending room?" And I'm like, "No, I put it back on the hook." No, we came in first thing this morning. We've got tours going in, and the door's locked. So you must have locked it, but you have the key. And I was like, "No. Could be on the beach at Craigellachie." So I was like, "But you've got another one." No. We lost it last week. That's the only. I said, "Wow." So I went upstairs. Big fire doors, but I could see there was just like a deadbolt lock, and there was a bit of give. So I thought, I'll put my shoulder into this and do them a favour. And I put the door in, but unbeknownst to me, there were deadbolts in the doors, and they burst through the veneer. So I went back down to the visitor centre. It was like, "Good news, blending room's open. Bad news, door's fucked."
But I mean, see when you're like you talk about the brand ambassador, and the last time you were on the podcast, we spoke about like the role of being a brand ambassador and things like that. But that is the side you're mentioning, like you've got to be entertaining people. Having Glenfiddich there, as you mentioned, the Beacon, I think that'd be a huge sales tool. But was it a challenge being able? Because you look at Edinburgh now, and when you were working at Glenfiddich, 8-9 years ago as well, when you were coming up to Edinburgh. Edinburgh didn't have, and even just in the radius of Edinburgh, there weren't the distilleries now that you could do it. Is that a bigger advantage for these distilleries in Fife and around the Edinburgh area, where you can say, you don't even need to pass the bypass anymore to get into a distillery?
I think it is. I think most people, if you look at your average whiskey tourist, in fact, they're not even whiskey tourists, your average tourist that comes to Scotland, they're going to look for 2 or 3 things. They want to see a castle, Nessie, Highland Cow, eat haggis, listen to bagpipes.
Yeah.
Now you can do most of that, or play golf. You can do most of that from Edinburgh. Yeah. And whiskey just gets ticked off. So it doesn't really matter. Actually, a dog walker friend of mine was talking about it. His father was coming over from Germany, and he said, "There's 2 distilleries now in Edinburgh." And I said, "Yeah. Which ones would you recommend?" There's Holyrood and there's Portleith. And I said, "They're both excellent, but they're both slightly different, and it depends on what you want." Holyrood feels like a more traditional distillery in its look, but actually the way they're distilling is really geeky and really cool. And if you understand enough and want to really deep dive into that, that's cool. But if you just want to experience the modern face of distilling now, go to Portaleaf.
Yeah.
It's a vertical distillery. It's all shiny. It's all new. It's like nothing you might see things in the future like it, but there's nothing out there before it.
Yeah.
The tour's great. The views are great. The bar upstairs is brilliant. So if you're just a tourist that wants to tag whiskey on, Portaleaf.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're a whiskey tourist, you do them both.
Yeah.
But I'd say Holyrood.
Yeah.
And I think the distilleries are aware of that. They've set themselves up to appeal to those types of people. That whole setup at Portaleaf with the bar upstairs. I mean, that's just it's just worth going to the bar anyway. And
for the views.
Right, the view and the drinks are great. The selection's brilliant. So I think it helps because when if you just go back 8 years, the only thing you had was Glenfiddich, and then Johnny Walker.
Yeah, when you look at what that's.
I was there last night.
Yeah.
That's the 4th time I've been.
And even like the drams.
I'll make it just known for the camera. I didn't pay. I didn't pay more money. But I'm kidding.
even the drams on the menu though, because you go into the roof. I mean, look, you could buy a very, very expensive dram. I can't remember. We were having a flick through, and I think it was like 550 quid for a dram up there on the rooftop. But you can also have a Klein Leash 14
for about £7,
£7,
£7.50 or something. Yeah,
you're not going to get a bad pint of Guinness up there either.
No, exactly.
Because it's Diageo, and you're getting a great. But also the tour. We've done the tour, I guess. And it's absolutely fantastic.
Great.
It's a good laugh. Yeah, and I think.
And again, what they've done very cleverly, and I criticised it, and Michelle was like, "Shut the fuck up. That's just you." It's a conveyor belt.
Yeah.
And it's timed to perfection, and it's theatre.
Yeah.
What it doesn't allow is for you to question anything. Because they can't stop and answer your question. It's on we go.
That's right.
And I had a few questions. Michelle just kept digging and going, just shut up for once. Just walk round, switch off. But again, I was listening to the people that were on the tour with us, and they were blown away by it.
Yeah.
Really enthusiastic, and you think there is now a load of people heading out back home, wherever that might be, with a positive aspect on Edinburgh, Scotland, whiskey, the whole lot.
And cocktails, like the big thing they push was the cocktail.
This is it. There'll be people that maybe didn't think, put whiskey in a cocktail and it tastes great.
Or even just people that go, I don't like whiskey. Like, why are we going? I don't like whiskey. But it's like, well, you don't have to have it like that. You just have it. And some of the cocktails you taste, you wouldn't know that there was whiskey in it. It tastes it. But I like the theatre bit with the conveyor belt.
The tramulator. It's brilliant, isn't it?
Really, really well put together and stuff like that. It is a great thing for whiskey. But do you see distilleries, legacy distilleries up in Speyside now playing catch up? Like, you were working for Glenfiddich, right?
I think it's the other way round. No, it's not. Well, I know where you're going with that.
But if we're purely talking about tourism, I reckon there are still going to be tourists that would maybe come to Scotland, not necessarily Edinburgh, would come to Scotland and say, I want to go to the oldest distillery in Scotland, or I want to go to the most scenic, I want one with
and that's what the
purple heather behind it, and which is what.
When I took bartenders or guests to Glenfiddich or Balvenie, because I used to do the tours on both of them, I wanted them to come away with a real sense of place. We've done stuff like, we've had dinner, it was midsummer actually, we'd all had dinner, it was a huge group, might have been 1887 Collective we used to do, and we had one dram left, and it was a beautifully still evening, and I'm like, right, everybody up, we're going to sit, and we went up to Warehouse 12, and there's a lovely bit of grass there, and we sat, and it was such a still night, everyone with their dram, and I said, now, you're as close as you can get to the warehouses, and you can smell it all. Now smell your whiskey, and rather than it being in that room that was all. So that's a difficult thing for new distilleries to do. You can add the cobwebs or the stories. And with something like Glenfiddich or Balvenie or Glenlivet or Macallan, every square metre you walk around, there's a story to tell about it. There might be a dent or something, not a dent in the still, but a funny story about,
a broken door frame because brand ambassador lost the key for the blending room.
So it's actually the way they repaired it was, the kicker plates you have on the bottom, they put ones on the top as well. So it doesn't look bad, but I know why that's got a plate on top. And so that whole story.
And if you go to the beach at
you might find
if you're with a metal detector and you find the key, you know where it might be.
So I think that's the advantage that legacy and heritage brands have, is that you walk around, you meet the people who are making the whiskey, and they tell you their story about how they, and you guys have done that now as well.
Yeah.
You meet the head brewer, you meet the stillman, the warehouseman, the coppersmith, the cooper, and all of them have got a wee story, a little funny story. One of the ones I remember from the cooling pond at Balvenie is stunning, and it always has a sort of, the cooling pond's always slightly warmer, so it always had a mist on it. There was the big one at Glenfiddich had a funny story about it as well. And one of the malt trucks was coming in one day, and they reversed and unfortunately clipped a duck.
Right.
So the stillman goes out, and they thought, what do we do with this? So they actually plucked it and they roasted it in the kiln. Now I reckon Balvenie are missing a real trick here by not doing a special release called The Week of Beak.
The Week of Beak.
That was the 1980s. That happened.
It would be.
There was a group of boys came down, and when I'd go past the cooling pond, you'd look at it at Glenfiddich, and I'd say, all the water in here lasts. It's fully recycled out of this. Olympic-sized swimming pool.
Yeah.
Every 4 hours.
Really?
Yeah, every 4 hours. In fact, now that's just part of the cooling process for that because the expansion, and it looks nice. It's maybe a metre deep, but it's about a metre deep of silt. It just sits because it's never disturbed.
Yeah.
And there was a stag do. It used to be free tours, and it was a stag do, and the boys parked it. They did their tour, had a few drams, went up to their car, had a designated driver, and then they decided they were going to go for a swim. So they all stripped and ran back through the car park, hopped the wall, and went into the cooling pond. Because they went in feet first.
Yeah.
And then realised they were in a metre of silt, which stuck them. And they just all looked like 5 Anthony Gormley statues, all like naked. The water stopped there. And because it was free tour, it was like coach loads of people all the time. So just like click, all these tourists. So you can go those stories the newer distilleries need to build. And it's when you're walking past, you tell somebody a story like that, the next time they see a cooling pond, they remember the Anthony Gormley stag do at Glenfiddich. And that's, I think that for my job, when I was an ambassador, that is key, is to give people a quirky little something back.
Who we had, who did we have on the pod? And they were talking about Craig Johnson.
Yes.
And he was talking about how when he was a barman at the SMWS, and he said, like, send the person back with a bit more information or a story so that they can go back to the group and then pass that on. Because I remember, I think it might have been Highland Park in Jura stick out for me a lot, because it was like my grandfather drank grouse, and it was like, but then and there would be occasionally a few other bottles in there, but it was Highland Park or Jura, because sometimes him and my gran would, when they were retired, would jump in the car and just bugger off for 4 or 5 days, stay in some B&Bs around the place, and they would drive, and that's what it was. He'd gone up to Orkney and visited the Highland Park distillery,
come back,
got the thing going, I'm going to buy a Highland Park 12, and any time he poured a dram, he would tell you, you know something about this? And he would tell you something about Highland Park, and it was the same with Jura. They'd come back, and that was what it was. That was the 3 dram.
And then they become advocates, ambassadors themselves, and that then builds that storytelling globally, and then people then have a warm and fuzzy feeling about that brand, even though they've never been there.
Yeah, exactly. I took a bottle to Australia for my grandfather's second cousin in Brisbane, who visited Australia like 3 times in her life, but felt
Is this thing where you had to meet your distant relative in Australia?
Yeah, so basically
I've never
met these people before, and I got a number from somebody. When you arrive in Brisbane, let them know, they'll come and pick you up. Came and picked me up and went around, and it was the weirdest time, because there was a slight resemblance to everybody. I was
There's no mistaking which family line they came from.
you look just like my auntie, and
that's good, because otherwise you end up in kind of the Griswold family vacation, where they meet these, they go to Germany and they leave and they go, who were they? I have no idea.
But my granddad said, take this, it's a bottle of Jura and she'd visited Scotland like 3 times in her life, and she was like 95, and she was just the proudest woman you've ever met. Her house was covered in thistle. They had thistles not etched, but like carved into the house around them. They were so proud of their heritage, and it was like my grandfather's father's brother, who had emigrated in like the early 1900s.
You say emigrated, do you mean he was a criminal?
He was a criminal.
Stole a handkerchief.
I think emigration's a choice.
Yes, he was
deportation is what you're thinking of.
But she just, and they pulled out albums of all her family and saying like this. But the dram was Jura, and it was because the last time she'd come to Scotland, God knows when it was, she was given. My grandfather said, "You got to try this Jura. Like it's the best." And he said to me before I left, "Take this down." Pauline, and it tastes down for Pauline, and she was just over the moon. She had 1 dram of it, and we're all sitting there, about 18 people around the table, right? So she said, "I'm going to have a whiskey," and hello to our Australians, and they were all going like, "Gran, like you can't have a whiskey. You're 95 years old." There's a dog fight going on there, and basically, we're sitting there having this dram, and we're having this meal, and everyone's chatting away. She's sitting at the head of the table, and you just heard this like clatter, and we looked and.
Face down.
Yeah, sound asleep. Had 1 dram.
Thank God it was sleep.
There was a moment of slight panic where it was like, but you could see the suit going round and round.
Once the pulse had been checked.
But it was great, and I think people hold on to it. So as a brand ambassador, do you see, like, is the role changing? Has it changed a little bit? Or because you mentioned that this is the bit I really, like, getting my head round it, coming into the industry and things, is going, there's brand ambassadors and then there's a sales team that follow it. Are we starting to see now that the industry is looking for brand ambassadors / sales? Is it becoming more numbers driven, sales driven?
When whiskey's having a tough time just now, it was a calm couple of years, and it needed it. It's
Cyclical, it corrects itself,
usually every 10 years you'll get a dip and a trough and a peak. We've been in a trough for a couple of years, and COVID was a little bit to blame, in my opinion. 2022 comes along, everybody's got a bit of spare cash. And certain brands released a lot of big heavy hitting whiskies and put price tags on them that were, let's say, inflated. And if you look actually now, it's flattening off. If you look 3 years ago, those brands that are bringing those bigger bottles out, the prices aren't indexing the way they should based on that figure.
Really?
They're actually just flatlining because they've realised that they're going to... Angus, enough please, thank you.
For the listeners.
Yeah.
For the listeners, one of Mark's dogs is called Angus.
Yes,
I like the calm way you're doing it. I might start at Angus.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a firm telling off. There you go,
So I think where the industry is, when it's in its heyday, when the sun is shining and everybody's pay packets are fat and it's all easy, advocacy is at the forefront of that. Because it's not tangible. People don't say, you don't say to someone, rate the value of that experience at Glenfiddich. How much is that worth to this brand that we've just taken it up here? There's a monetary value you can put against it based on travel and flights and hotel, but your return on investment in advocacy is not measurable.
Yeah, so when somebody in an office has a spreadsheet in front of them and it's how much is he bringing in, how much is he bringing in.
And when the businesses are all doing well and things are doing great, that figure, that individual and that team are not scrutinised as much. We got away with murder. I mean, I did a music festival for 3 years, just went camping with my pals. Now everything's a little bit tighter. Sales have to be made, and what I'm seeing is more ambassador hybrid sales roles. We need you to, because some of these smaller brands as well can't afford the headcount.
I mean, because it is, when I put a hat on from other work I've done in other industries, like you say, trying to convince somebody that we can't put a return of investment on flying this group of guys up, taking them on a bus, feeding them full of drams, taking them around. Now, when you actually break it down though, the cost to the cost to the company isn't actually that much because the distillery's there. You're not building a new distillery for them to go to. The whiskey's there. Look at it. Look at Angus is getting chucked out now.
Yep.
You're winding them up as well.
But like you say, the cost isn't there. The distillery doesn't need to be rebuilt. Even the whiskey, the fascinating thing that I see when we do this is the fact that people like Rosebank, right? We were at Rosebank. Gordon and Ass we've been taken around. Gordon and Ass sitting there, and on a £50 tour, where you get a 15% discount if you quote WSP when you're checking out. But for a £50 tour, you get a Rosebank 32 on that. And it's like the generosity and like you see that bottle and you see it's an expensive bottle here to go and buy it online or what have you. Right? If you go to Scotch Balmoral and have a dram of it, Ross will sell you it. But I think you said it's 140 quid for a dram, a 25ml dram. Yeah, 50 quid plus a tour and the Glencoin 15, and you're getting 15% off. But like, it doesn't cost a distillery that much money to open those bottles or have those bottles. Obviously, scarcity will.
It depends on who it is because, and here, this is a really interesting point. Some companies now are looking at, so if you've been around for 150 years, 180 years, that cask that's sat in there has a value, but also it's in the grand scheme of things, it's sample stock and it might be a £2,000 bottle, but the liquid that you're pouring to that person's written down as 15 quid.
Yeah.
Because that's the duty.
Yeah.
And the value, that's it. The liquid's done. If you're a new distillery, it's not quite the same. And I know a couple of situations where the businesses are looking at liquid stock in terms of replacement costs.
No,
so if we pour that now, how much will it cost us to replace that? And it's not free sample stock. It's all of a sudden it's now a £75 bottle of sample stock.
Yeah.
And that's a slight change in the way.
Because the way you're looking at it, you're saying, if I'm giving that away for free, that means somebody's not buying it.
Exactly.
And if someone was going to buy it, that's what we would be getting for that.
That's a new way, I think. Well, not a new way. It's business, but certainly in the whiskey industry. Yeah. And it's because we're in a tight time. People are just watching it, and those advocacy teams, they're all getting their budgets cut. Their T&E, their travel. They're not. You don't see as many people with an expense account throwing it around. I mean, geez.
And it's also, smaller distilleries as well. I can imagine it as well. If you do a release that's one of 500 bottles, it's like, wait, if we're pouring 10 of these for nothing, that's cutting our margins down on this release. Yeah. Are we going to make our money back?
Even press, you'll see press. I remember Bunnahabhain. In fact, how I met Michelle. Bunnahabhain 40-year-old did the first release, and we were given a 200ml bottle in a pack, not a sample, like a finished, labelled up 200ml bottle, like the dumpies you get in the shop. Yeah. That was the press pack on the first 40 they ever did.
Really? So,
and I'm like, that's what are we looking at now? £3 grand. £3,500. It was £1,000 press pack.
Yeah.
£1,000 worth of liquid sitting there.
Just given.
And we were one of many people I knew that got one.
Yeah.
Wish I'd kept it.
But
worth a lot more than 1,000 now.
But the flip side of that, I've done a lot of research into it, and you're looking at it, and people are saying now that people aren't going out drinking as much. People are holding on to their cash. It's a tough time economically.
Yeah, but there's another trend there in that people are drinking less in terms of volume, but more in terms of
better.
But
better.
And the thing is that people are looking at as experience. And they're saying that the experiential marketing now is becoming a bigger thing.
They want more for their money.
Yeah.
They want to know. And again, coming back to the COVID thing, I think that was vital to it's the education piece globally about Scotch varies dramatically if you go to where was I? Lagos.
Yeah.
It's like almost the third biggest market for Glenfiddich in the world.
Yeah,
one city.
Yeah.
Lagos in Nigeria.
Wow.
Bonkers. And
we have actually got one listener. We've had one or two downloads in Nigeria, so hello.
It's
no doubt Glenfiddich drinkers.
Yeah. It was they do it by the bottle, 21-year-old. And I was doing not kidding.
Yeah.
It's all bling, it's all the top end, all high money.
Yeah.
And I was doing a training with some bartenders, and the young lad was great, loads of good questions. And I said to him, so we're doing the 21 here, blah, 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 blah. And I said, do you sell much of this? I could see a kind of quizzical look in his face. He says, I think we sold 9 bottles last night. 9 bottles of 21.
So in a bar?
In a bar. So they give the mixers for free.
Yeah.
And it's like having a Belvedere with sparkles on the top in Mayfair, but in Lagos.
Well, this is
quite a
it.
kudos thing.
Yeah.
Sitting on the bottom.
Have it on your table. 4 pals.
And if you don't finish it, you can take it home.
There you go.
So it's a completely, because we went down to the beach bar and had a Hendrix bottle and 5 cans of tonic, and I'm thinking that's actually quite good because I've actually only paid, I think it worked out at like £45 for the bottle of Hendrix.
Yeah.
And so that was meaning my gin and tonic was like £5 or something that we had then. It was like, that's an £11 drink back home.
Yeah.
And I get to take the bottle home.
Yeah.
So it's a different way of thinking. But the young lad, after he's saying he's selling 9, at the end of it, I said, any questions? He said, yeah, what do the numbers mean?
What, really?
And I remember it clearly in my head.
It's like,
just
let's
thinking,
start again.
it's a fucking hour and a half of my time. How did I miss that? What do the numbers mean? It wasn't that I hadn't told me, he just didn't understand maturation. That's how old the whiskey is inside. Oh, right. But to him it didn't matter because he's like, it's one of my best sellers. And I get tipped, and so that level, where I was going with that level of education is very low. I think it was Brian Kinsman that was asked, would Glenfiddich ever see stopping cartwheel colouring? And Brian said no, because just because one territory says we get it, we understand it, we know the difference, we would have to set up loads of different
The education would have to be going into
to look at every territory, and that's just not possible for a company that size.
We talked about it a couple of weeks ago when it was Gordon Dundas. We were doing
I
it.
tell you what, I've never seen a whiskey this pale before in my life.
Shall we have the Tomatin 6, the Whisky Gasm hand-filled distillery exclusive? But Gordon Dundas explained to us through the time that he was out in Taiwan. He was talking about the Taiwanese market.
Yeah.
And how colour... I take it this is what you're going into. Colour-driven. It's like...
But what's the point?
Forget looking
Why
at the
try
label, just look at the colour.
Just because we're all a bit snobby about it now.
So this is the thing, that level of education globally changes wherever you go. And the UK is actually quite strong. And COVID helped because you could all of a sudden get 3 master classes a week in your lounge.
Yeah.
And you could sit in your pyjamas.
Yeah.
And have a master distiller and a master blender talk to you. And I noticed the level of education upped a little bit. When I came out and did a lot of whiskey shows, it was like, yeah, I like these glasses. They look like you're not pouring much in them, but it's...
There you go, you've got an Angus dram there.
So you weren't getting people coming up to stands and going, give me your softest, less spicy. They were saying, what kind of new finishes have you got? The conversation
questions
changed.
were different.
It was a completely different level.
And has that increased? We've talked about the level of geekiness then.
Yeah.
And then when you go back, then that means a distillery like Holyrood can, instead of having the stories, can justifiably stand on the fact that they can go, let's tell you about yeast strains.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about fermentation types.
We do sit in a bit of an echo chamber.
Right.
And you have to always remember that. And I think any ambassador that was worth their salt would understand when you walk into a room, you spend 90% of your life with people that talk whiskey.
Yes.
And then you walk into a room with 35 people in front of you for that evening, and I would always try and work out what I had in front of me, who I had. Because just because they've turned up doesn't mean they. You had somebody on the podcast. I was listening to the distillery one, the Inch Journey, and the girl had never tried whiskey before that was on the podcast.
Was that the
tasting?
Was that the tasting? Was that the distillery spotlight that we did? That's right. Yeah. She was with.
She was been brought along by.
So there you go. You would just, if you didn't ask the question and didn't know that, you would automatically assume you're in the diggers. You're at a whiskey podcast with whiskey drinkers.
Yeah.
You'll have had whiskey before.
Well, that's it.
But so I learned that very early on. Know your audience.
Oh, you have to.
And I've certainly seen the change. But the geeky side is still a tiny percentage.
Oh, yes.
It's like probably the same percentage as malt whiskey on the market to blended consumption.
Yeah.
It's that upper end of it that we spend a lot of time in. I don't go into a bar now that doesn't have a great whiskey selection. I purposely choose Diggers, Roseburn, Voyage Buck, Chusters. In my head, I was saying actually to a friend recently, said, do you know what the worst thing about this industry is and this job? When friends message me at like 11 in the morning and go, you fancy catching up? I'm like, I don't automatically think, where's the nearest coffee shop?
You're going,
I'm like,
where can I get it?
which bar's open? Which one have I not been into for a while? So you find yourself 11:30 in the morning with a whiskey in your hand.
Yeah.
Should have really been an oak flat white.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. I think we've seen it, and I think this is part of the whole thing with the podcast is the fact that
Juicy.
no, this is this one.
Oh, is it?
That's
Why it's juicy, because it's with tomato.
But I think we've been there, and I think like we've in the last 5 years we've been on that side where you go. We were talking about it tonight. You know, I was speaking to somebody who said, found myself, and I don't know whether he does. I know he doesn't listen to the podcast, right?
Oh, can we slag him then?
I won't, but I know he doesn't listen to the podcast. But he said to me, I found myself on, and I've known this guy for years, and he likes a dram, right? But and he says, found myself on this Whisky Stories Facebook chat, right? So there's the Facebook group, right, which has over 500 members on it, but there's also a Facebook chat which anyone who's in the group can join. And it's just a live going chat. Stuart McGregor, I think his name is, lost a load of weight recently, and he's been promising himself a treat if he gets below 20 stone, and he gets
Following
a
the Ross Barman,
Yeah,
the Robert Barman, the weight loss.
You should go on the whiskey diet.
Well, I think that's what
I lost 3 days once.
but this guy said to me, and he says, I'm on that. He said, some of the drams, I've never heard of half of them, but they look a load of rubbish. I said, what do you mean? And he goes, just never really heard of them. I didn't understand this. Why would I want a drink? And I can't remember. Like he would use an example. I don't know. Say an Aberlour. Say, and he, why would I want to try that in a wine finish or something like that? It's an indie bottler. But I'm looking at him going, are you daft?
Yeah.
But it's because, and I've got to remember that. Well, actually, it was only 2 or 3 years ago. I'll tell you when it was. The first, and this will age it, was 3 years ago. We went to the Edinburgh Whisky Festival at Murrayfield.
Murrayfield, just over
Yeah.
there. Another convenience of this.
Yeah. And I kind of half, not complain, but to you, I kind of went, there's too many indie bottlers there.
Yeah,
Too many
I
indie
remember
bottlers.
you, yeah.
I just wanted a distillery, a 46% dram, and I was happy because I was going, what? The 3 of them have all got Colilas on their stand, and I don't get it. I don't understand why everyone's trying to do that. But now you look at and you go to a Whisky Fringe that we were at, and we were down the stairs in the independent tent with the new distilleries and the independent guys, and there was people that go, I barely ventured up the stair.
Yeah, it's the only bit I went to this year.
Yeah, because
I popped up to say hi to a few folk in the
Yeah.
great Royal Brachla that was on show there
Yeah.
by Mike McGinty. But at the indie was, it really interests me from the geeky side.
Yeah.
Because I want, the trick of all finishes is to make sure you still hold on to the distillery character. Otherwise, that's when it's pointless. If it's overcooked, if it's not the right marriage, and we all know marriages fail, if they're not nurtured with love. And those, you start to build up a following as an independent bottler because you are, and the Thomson brothers are a great example of that.
Yeah.
I mean, as are there many, Woodrow's,
fragrant drops.
Fragrant drops, exactly. It used to be a case that...
Fine.
Right, fine.
You can go through.
We
Well,
could
we're
go
not. We're
through
just
it.
going to.
How many?
Everyone does a great job.
And the reason is they've all got skin in the game.
Yeah.
It wasn't the case 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Armchair bottlers, nobody cared, getting casks. Some of the people that were bottling them wouldn't have even tried the liquid. They see the name, they see the age, it goes in the bottle, it's out.
Yeah.
That then gave literally a sour taste in many consumers' mouths when they were buying into something and going, I quite like this distillery, I've never heard of these guys, but I'll give this a go, and trying it, and they're like, that's guff.
Yeah.
And it's not the distillery's fault. The indie bottlers have held onto the cask too long, or found a parcel of casks that should never have been bottled. And that has happened where distilleries are trading casks, and most big icon distilleries will have a blend.
Yeah.
So they need to be keeping casks moving.
Sure.
And and I know that one in particular in the mid-80s put a huge parcel of casks to another. And that particular distillery and blender did nothing with them. They just left them. Now, the fact that they'd been moved from one distillery to another was clear indication that they weren't right for being single cask bottlings.
Yeah.
Because they maybe made enough of a distillery character, but they're not showcased enough. So they can happily make up your blend, and we will exchange for the ones that you bring in to go into our blend. Sure. That's how it works. But a few years later, an indie bottler turns up at the warehouse doors of said distillery and said, "Got anything interesting?" And they're like, "Oh, actually, there's a load of casks over there. Have those. We'll sell you these."
Yeah.
All of a sudden, that indie bottler is like, "Wow, look at the names on these. This is brilliant." Bottle them all, put them out to the market, and that is actually in the 1984 or 1983, where quite a number of major distilleries decided, no, that's it, and teaspooning started to come around.
Is that where a teaspooning? So teaspooning for people. So teaspooning would be a case of like what's Balvenie? We had the hazel.
You've got Alduni, which is Kinninvane. I can say this now without getting into trouble. Glenfiddich and Balvenie is Wardhead, so majority Glenfiddich, teaspoon of Balvenie, Wardhead. Burnside is Balvenie with a drop of Glenfiddich, and Alduni is Kinninvane with a drop of either or.
Yeah. So teaspooning would be just so to explain. So so distilleries can protect themselves. What they would do is they would say, like, if I was at a distillery, I would say, right, man, you want to buy a cask of my stuff, I'll sell it to you, but you can't put it out as our name because I'm putting a teaspoon of that in there, and legally that would then have to be a blended malt.
Yeah, and if you ever did want to sell it as a single, if you ever did get your hands on it as an independent bottler, and if you ever did release it, you would have to release it under that name, Wardhead. Or
the delivery order you get from the warehouse, which is your certificate of ownership, will state. And some of them, the only one I know out there that actually, outside of the big ones like Balvenie, Williamson's Lafroig,
Dalrymple.
Dalrymple is...
What's that?
Dalrymple is Ailsa Bay.
I've got a Thompson Brothers Dalrymple.
Ailsa Bay.
Absolute cracker.
Yeah.
It's got the curling stones on. I think that was what they did. It was Dalrymple, but it's got the curling stones on.
Ailsa Crag is where all the stone for the curling stones is.
That's right. Yeah. It's a cracking drum, that.
Very good. And that's the thing, and it's cheap. I used to collect Wardhead because I knew it was Glenfiddich, and it's that style. If it was American oak, and there was loads of independent bottlers in Europe, Liquid Sunshine, a couple of others that I got when I was doing work in Belgium and Germany, and stunning. And you're getting like 27-year-old Wardhead for, well, Karen Moore did one actually. Was it a 25-year-old Wardhead for like 120 quid. Yeah, well, it's basically a 25-year-old Glenfiddich.
Well, Fraser Souness brought in, was it Hazelburn? Is it Hazelburn?
Yeah, it was a
Whiskey Sponge, 27-year-old Hazelburn.
Yeah.
And he brought it in.
Hazelwood.
Hazelwood. Was it Hazel? Yeah.
Hazelburn's Campbelltown.
Sorry, Hazelwood. Sorry, that's right. So he brought in Hazelwood, and and we were going, like, this is a 27-year-old single cask Balvenie, effectively.
Yeah.
Because it's teaspoon. Now, how big's a teaspoon, you don't know. Yeah. But at the same time, what we know is that it's just a case of protecting the brand.
It's protection to make sure.
The tablespoon is 15 millilitres.
Yeah, and that's why now independent bottlers, whoever they are, they need to make sure their cask choice is great because there are a lot, and it's a fickle market.
But do you think we'll see this internationally then? Do you think, like, for example, use India as an example here. India do not understand the concept at the moment. The vast majority of whiskey drinkers. I've sat with somebody in India and tried to explain the concept of single. Like, I've had I can't remember what it was, but he was able to. It was in a shop in India, and I've got an independently bottled bottle of whiskey, and it's got the distillery. I can't remember the name of the distillery, but the distillery he knew was on here on the shelf.
Yeah.
And he's going, that's not the same. I said, no, that's single cask. Yeah, but that's single malt. And I'm going, no, this is single malt.
Yeah. Yeah,
but he's going, but why is it in that bottle when the other stuff? And then his argument was, well, why would I have that when? Because it was a very straightforward label with a very, it was and the thing is, from an independent bottler point of view, as well as some of them not even being able to put the name of the distillery on it. But some of them, you can't use the logo. You can't put the official logo on it. So you've just got to put it there. So suddenly the iconic logo that someone might see isn't seen on that.
Typically they're cheaper than the original, the OBs. So if you had a 25-year-old Highland Park single cask, that's a lot of bucks. If you get that from an independent bottler, it's not so many bucks. It's still a lot of bucks. It's not, and so there is that. Hopefully they've got a good deal on it. that is the key to it all, is ensuring, because if they go back to a major distillery and go, right, we'd like to buy a few more casks, they're like, nah, because the stuff you put out last.
No, Pete from Woven was talking about how the gatekeepers in whiskey, and you speak to the people, it's relationships, and the thing is as well, is relationships can be, Scotch whisky industry is very protective of itself, as we know. You look at the SWA, you look at some of the...
I'm surprised I've lasted this long. Fucking rumours that fly around about me.
But you look at, like, they will protect the brand of Scotch whisky at all, and rightly so. Yeah. But at the same time, you know, when you look at the stringency of that, like people within the industry as well, you don't want to be the guy or the person or the lady that did that, which led to that.
It's the black mark.
Because suddenly it's like you say, with the whiskey, the Scotch whisky industry is a massive industry, but it's a village as well. It's people, you could literally go into the Highlander Inn at some nights and you'll see 3 people from 3 different distilleries having a chat.
We spoke about it as well. I can't remember who mentioned it, but it was, for example, cask brokers. If you've got a cask of something and you pass it on to something that then makes a hash of it or bottles it, you know,
you're cut out.
And then suddenly it's like, well, we know who sold that cask to so and so. Well,
there's a trace, because cask numbers are traceable.
The funniest thing I'd heard working for an
source.
independent recently, and I was speaking to a friend about a cask, and a very prominent whiskey collector in the UK who also now owns a distillery and did own a shop, had asked a broker to sell a cask. Now, I haven't had this fact checked. This is the story I heard, but who wants the truth to get in the way of a good story? This individual had said, I've got some casks I'd like to sell, there's the parcel of casks, go and sell them. And they said, yeah, I can get a good price on this. About 2 weeks later, same individual gets an email in from another cask broker with a 30% increased price on those casks. And it had just gone round 3 different people. They'd added their 10%. I know who'll buy this. Yeah. He's like, these are my fucking casks. Yeah.
It happened to me years ago. When I looked at it, I looked into the cask ownership situation and ended up talking to, you know, you answer one Facebook ad and then suddenly you're getting inundated with people calling you and this, that, and the next thing. Milton Duff. So Milton Duff, I've got an affinity. People listening to the podcast will know. Yeah. I have an affinity to Milton Duff, and I sort of said, you know what? A cask of Milton Duff would be cool. Good
distillery.
Yeah, and find out what it would cost. So I put it out, to one person, and I got 3, the same 7 casks, the parcel of 7 casks. Still got the screenshots of the spreadsheet. The same 7 casks were offered to me by 3 different people.
At 3
different prices. The cheapest price was obviously the guy that I knew was closest to the source. And again, then you speak to people within the industry, you show them that, they go, why on earth would you pay that much money for a Milton Duff at that age? Yeah. So basically, every single person that I was speaking to was trying to sell that cask.
Yeah, because people were saying, independent bottler was saying, well, if I bottled that, I would have to bottle it at this amount and I would never get them.
We've talked about that on the Indie Bottler Spotlight. We've talked about the fact is that there's so many people that fall into the trap of thinking like, oh, I could become an independent bottler, I'll buy a couple of casks. And then it's like, right, so you own the casks, but then it's like the bottle cost, the cork, every single thing on a bottle that you see, that little sleeve there, depending on how you want that to look, and then you've got the duty on top of it, and then once you've done all that, you've still got to sell it, you've still got to market it, and then you go to a place like, I don't know, Jeffrey Street Whiskey and Tobacco, and you look at who predominantly...
It's only Jeffrey Street Whiskey now.
They've got a tiny little cigar box left of what they've got.
I saw Emily the other day, I went in for cigars, she went, that's all we've got.
Yeah. Fingers crossed to get, but I do believe they've got some nice big plans for what the humidor was, but predominantly selling independent bottler whiskey, and you can go in there and you go, right, so I've got to put my bottle on the shelf beside all these other people, and you know what? Maybe they're doing the same kind of distillery stuff. Yeah. Why should anyone pay that? And it just is a dangerous...
Then you come into... There's 2 things with that, though. So one of the clever things, Thomson Brothers have moved away from it slightly, although they'll probably tell me I'm wrong. They were eye-catching and really different. Their labels. The food series that they did, the local artists doing... And that was quite a distinct label. You could walk into a bar and go, oh, there's the Thomson Brothers. Well, we would know. And then it's the case of, can you bring me that down?
But someone
Because you
that-
can't see
yeah,
where it
but
is.
someone
There's
that-
details on the side.
But someone that didn't go would be like, whoa, that's a cool bottle of whiskey. What's
That's it.
that? Yeah.
In a shop as well, you're like, I like that. And in a shop, in a retail environment,
Especially if you like cats.
I think, yeah. I think something, basket statistics are something like 80% of whiskey purchased in a retail environment is for someone else.
Oh, really? Yeah,
It's monstrously high. So, again, this all changes. You look at a label in a bar and you're like, okay, this is cool. You put that in a back bar, that disappears.
Yeah.
Because it's backlit or it's underlit. So all of a sudden, you're just a dark bottle sitting there, unless someone knows the bottle shape. You put something like that and that in a retail environment, I guarantee you people will pick that up.
Yeah. The bottle.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that's not a very well-known distillery outside of the geeks, and that looks really cool.
Yeah.
So people are going to go, that Uncle Jack will love that. Look at that.
That's a nice bottle.
That feels great.
Yeah.
I'm
And,
taking that.
and if he puts that on his sideboard, it'll look good.
So so as an indie or a main brand, you've got this horrific dichotomy of going, we want to make whiskey that real whiskey drinkers go, that's great. We also want to make whiskey that non-whiskey drinkers, so we can absorb the category, go, that's cool, I never thought of trying that before. And then you've got all these different touch points, these contact points of, are you in a bar? Is it malt of the month?
And it comes back to the brand ambassador. It comes back to the brand, because the other thing is, you know, if your bottle shape, your label, and everything like that is a brand ambassador effectively, because people will know, like you say.
Well, this is it. I mean, I've got a real soft spot for the Glenmorangie bottles just because of that still shape. I just love it. Yeah.
But then there's, so, you know, there's that touch point, like you say, if it's like, oh, I was at a tasting, I was at the Glenfiddich tasting, I know the bottle shape, and I don't care what it was, whatever tasting it was, if it's a brand ambassador, a positive experience, you know exactly what you're looking for, and that's when somebody might be able to go into a back bar and actually look at the bottle shapes and go, I know that one, that's a Taman, I'm going to have that.
They're all changing.
Yeah.
I was in a whiskey bar in Edinburgh yesterday, just before I was with Cameron Ewan, just before we went to the Diggers, and we're in a bar, and I scanned the bar and missed 3 or 4 bottles that I should have recognised.
Because like Bowmore very recently rebranded, Highland Park
all
rebranded.
merging a little bit.
Yeah, and these are really big brands that had distinctive bottles.
Yeah.
And what's that? Is that a cost? Is that another cost factor? Is it fine,
No,
or is it just?
I think it's just the way things are.
Yeah.
You look at, I mean, there was a Porsche Cayenne went past me, or the Macan, and it honestly looked like a fucking Renault Megane. I was actually, when I posted it on social, I was like, what is this? And someone, oh, that's the new Porsche, it's just been debadged. And whoever's got it's debadged. That's a £110,000 car. And I said, it looks like something you'd use on the school run.
Yeah.
It's just, where's the curves? Where's the instant head turn of going, holy shit, there's a Porsche or a Jaguar, or they're all just becoming meh.
But does that make it harder for a brand? Like, can you see it from as a brand ambassador point of view? Because, like you say, we'll talk about Glenfiddich here. Sponsorship is available, but basically, you know, the triangular bottle. That was it. Your Johnny Walker, the square bottle, the angle label.
Something like that would never change because
No.
surely it would be sacrilege.
No, of course not.
Yeah, it would be too iconic.
But the thing is, like, there's other brand ambassadors that might be looking at it.
Do you know what the interesting thing about that bottle is, though? It wasn't Glenfiddich's. It was Grant's.
Yeah.
Grant's had the triangular bottle. It was
Yeah.
Hans Schlager that designed it for them
Yeah.
in 1957.
yeah.
And Glenfiddich nicked it because they went, that's cool.
That's cool with it. Yeah.
And the Balvenie in the same way, it's the still neck on
Yeah.
the top of it. So these are they are identifiable and iconic. It's difficult. I think it's really difficult for a brand. And but what I think a lot of brands don't do, and thankfully for the companies that I've worked for, except one, most recently, is take advice off the people that are on the street and doing the job. So any of the ambassadors at Glenfiddich, there was like 30 of us at one point globally, and every year we'd all meet up in Dufton and go to Elgin and do karaoke. Hilarious when you have 2 females who are Broadway singers
Really?
as ambassadors.
Really?
Turned up in Elgin and pissed off all the locals by belting out in perfect pitch on a Tuesday night. And I think the Z bar or
must be a
something.
real novelty for Elgin.
Oh, God, honestly, it was the funniest thing. Tracy is now working for Uncle Nearest. She's a distiller at Uncle Nearest.
Really?
Yeah. And Jennifer Wren is the West Coast ambassador for Dalmore.
Oh, wow.
And they're both still in whiskey, but they were Broadway singers. And,
Wow.
you know, rocking up to Elgin on a dead Tuesday night with 30 ambassadors, and they're like, "Can you put the karaoke on?" It's Tuesday. The karaoke doesn't go until Wednesday. I'm bringing 30 people in here with expense accounts. I will put the karaoke on at night. But if they would sit down in that week and go, "Here's the liquid we're thinking of bringing out in 18 months. And here's the bottle. What do you think?" In fact, the whole change on the Glenfiddich 12 with the little red bit and that modern cut that just came out, the most recent one, every part of that is an amalgamation of about 5 different bottles that they presented to the ambassadors. And the ambassador went, "That works, that doesn't. I like this bit of this design, so can't you put..." And then they went back and went, "Okay." And that entire bottle of Glenfiddich has been shaped. Okay, initially the brand team brought up all the what do you call them? The sort of no, help me out here.
What we're talking here?
Different iterations.
Right. Okay. Iteration. Yeah.
But ultimately, it was the ambassadors that chose.
Because they're the boots on the ground.
Exactly.
Effectively.
But then you'll see brands that just put something out, and you literally go, as I say last night in a bar, and it's all backlit, and half the bottles disappeared.
Yeah.
And you're like, no one stress tested that, did they?
But you can go to Diggers, and whether you're having a dram or not, and you can go.
Sorry?
Exactly. But
Does not compute.
But whether you were working or not, they're really right. And you could say to Kev.
Well, not everyone in Diggers will ever have a dram.
No, but Mark, or anyone.
There are people that drink in Diggers and
of course
sorts of whiskey.
But you could go in and you could say what's selling, what's not. And Kev could say that bottle there has sat for way too long.
Yeah.
But I'm shifting a load of that right now.
Yeah.
And then you can start going, right, what is it? And you can start going,
£2.80.
yeah, well, everyone took a dunt when we brought in that 1.75 litre bottle.
Oh, the old smuggler.
That Kev managed to put out for about £2 a dram just to get rid of it. But it's true. You speak, that might just be, okay, maybe the people drinking at Diggers aren't drinking that. But let's just say you go further down the road, or you go to Ensign Europe, or you go somewhere else, and they say the same thing. Can I shift that?
Yeah.
Don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, and then it's a starter point where you say, oh, have they changed their recipe, or is there something changed, or is it they've changed this, changed that? But actually, ultimately, if you then go back and say, well, I just want to point out.
So the two, exactly. The two things that are key there is that, well, you said have they changed the recipe, which means you're thinking like a whiskey geek again.
Potentially, yeah.
So when you go into these places like Diggers and you're presented with 800 bottles, okay, people make a pilgrimage there, and the Ensign Europe. But the one thing that's great about these, if you say to the bar team, what do you recommend? Yeah. They will give you a recommendation.
Yeah.
Whether it's based, now, most times it's based on their own choice. So last night I was up at Diggers with Cammy and Jimmy, and we bought a round. It was a Springbank 5, it was the Tomatin, and it was the Pultley 17 from Rare Finds.
Which we took to the award. We got the award over the line.
We brought it home
and the bar, when the bar steward came over, she said, she put them all down and went, "Who ordered the 17 Pultley?" And it was me, and she went, "Yeah, you win this round."
Well, I think...
Right, and that's just... So at some point, either Greg's been in, or John's been in, or there's someone sat down and gone, "This is brilliant." Or Kevin said, "This is brilliant."
Probably listen to the podcast.
Probably.
I would imagine that's what
that was.
And that's the key. You've got to think as well that not only are 90%, I said this the last time, apart from the 5% there, so you have to beat that out this time. 90% of people don't know what they want. And recommendation is key. And if you've got a bar team and they're undertrained or don't drink whiskey, when I used to do trainings for bars, all I wanted to do is get someone to say, find what you like. And so if you, as not a whiskey drinker, are honest to someone and someone comes up and says, "Gee, what a range. What do you recommend?" Hey, look, I'm not a whiskey drinker. However, the last time we had a training in here with that cool ambassador, I kind of like that. Oh, that's good enough for me. That's it. Honesty, that's the job of the ambassador done. or the salesperson.
Yeah.
Just having that one point on the bar out of everything, and that then becomes the biggest seller every time that individual's on shift.
And that comes back to it, because, and you know, if brands are seeing that, then brands are going, we'll reward that. You know, so you guess what? You took an interest in this dram. You sold a hell of a lot of it. You've really become a bit of a mini. Well, who was it that said on the podcast, "There's no better brand ambassador than a barman or a bar"?
Yeah,
Someone working behind the bar. And basically, the bottom line is, suddenly then, and it's like that's when Jane Ross says, you get a phone call from Ardbeg.
And you get put on a minibus up to...
Well, yeah.
But here's the key that's
Come full
changing now,
circle.
and it comes back to what we were saying at the start of this.
Yeah.
To get a bartender to fall in love with something is emotion and story.
Yeah.
And what the industry is losing, because it's stripping it back, is it's putting salespeople into those roles.
Yeah.
And they are saying the key performing things for them are, it's good value for money.
Yeah.
It's this.
It's the hard sell.
It's the hard sell. It's numbers based.
Yeah.
Whereas I could not give a shit how much it cost.
If
Look,
you order X amount of bottles, we can do you a deal.
So that then becomes the prominent whiskey. But if you're going to get someone that's not a whiskey drinker into whiskey and brand call you to a recommendation on a punter that's walked in their bar, that will not be because it's got the best GP on it.
No, I think like this is what it comes back down to. Is I was having this conversation with somebody else who works in the bar industry, bar trade, and we were chatting away about, do people, born and bred Fifer, so right.
And you still class yourself as people.
Coming from a Dundonian, come on, man. Okay.
That's why it came from a Dundonian.
My granddad always used to say,
subclass, I think.
my granddad had a farm in Cooper, outside Cooper, and he used to say, you can why the folk in Dundee are always so miserable. I said, why is that? Said, when it rains, the water just runs right down through the city.
And floods Fife.
Got to go past the Tay first. But what this I was asking about, is it still a thing where the price of a pint matters? Right?
Yeah.
And he went, no.
Really?
And he went, tap and go. No one's counting cash anymore. Right? So he said what used to happen was, you'd have, if someone said, I've got £50 cash in my wallet, and they'd go to a place and they'd say, can I get a pint of Guinness please, £5, and they'd be going, geez, handing over £20, getting 15 back, and they'd go back to the table and they go, that was 15 quid. That's a fiver. I've got 15 quid left.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Right. Whereas now, tap and go. And I think this will probably be the same with whiskey. Now, people will see malt of the month. They'll see whatever on the thing and go, oh, we go at that. That sounds reasonable. But at the same time, I think if someone said, if you went to a bartender and you said, I'm not really sure what I'm wanting, right? And I've fallen into this trap. I won't say where, but Ross is the manager of that place. And it's a cracking establishment. And as I say, experience matters. I would definitely say that experience matters. And part of that experience is, if you speak to one of the members of staff that they've got behind the bar, and you say, I don't know what I'm wanting here. And they'll go, right, I've got something pretty cool. It's this, it's that. They'll go away, they get the bottle, they bring the bottle, they say all that, and you go, yeah. I'll have it. And then you have it and you go, right, that was great. And they say, right, you're ready, that's 15 quid. You go, bloody hell. But at the same time, you're going, I can't argue with that. Because I got 15 quid's worth. I got the full experience of it. And I think that's, like you say, the argument is somebody trying to say, take this, it's value. You can prove value for money without having to actually say.
And I feel sorry for the salespeople that are trying to push that forward, because it's viewed, I think, by the industry. You can see them coming in, and it's a long time ago I stopped talking about pricing and values. And in fact, actually, I used to say, especially during festival, you've no idea who that person is on the other side of the bar.
Yeah.
If they come in and say, I'm new to whiskey, I think I've said this before, I'm new to whiskey, give me a recommendation. The first thing the bartender should say, what's your budget?
Yeah. Was it?
Because if you are going to give someone a whiskey for the first time, most people will default to a 10 or 12 year old iconic distillery.
Sure.
Right? Here's one of the biggest selling, here's this, here's that. Yeah. It's nice and light. But actually a 12-year-old something is quite spirity.
Yeah.
In certain cases. But if your budget is not £4.25 and you're willing to throw 15 quid on the bar, all of a sudden your whiskey experience and introduction changes drastically.
Yeah. Well,
I don't think that happens enough. I think people automatically just go default, basic, entry level.
Yeah.
Instead of going, where are we pitching here?
Well, from a sales point of view, right? I would say you're absolutely right, because if someone says to me, I don't drink whiskey, but I want a whiskey, they need an experience now. So it's like, I could give you, you're not like, all right, you could walk into any bar and say, I'll take that one. But what they're asking is, they're saying, I don't drink whiskey. Or, you know, they might just go, I've seen everyone drinking grouse, so I'll drink a grouse. I've seen everyone drinking Glenfiddich 12, I'll take a Glenfiddich 12. And that could be it. But if someone's coming and saying, you actually got a moment there where you can say, right, I can give you what you want. Now, give me 2 seconds. I'm going to put this camera on charge.
I'm going to crack this.
What?
It's all right. What's going on? What?
Hope that's not somebody else trying to view this house.
I know. We know what to do. Not mention the price and just talk about the stories.
Michelle's been in Italy for 5 days, and they've forgotten she's come home, and she's just made a noise upstairs, so they think somebody's
She's
breaking the
outside.
house. Yeah. I think the experience side of it counts a lot now. And going back to your point, people want value for money, so you can sit in something like the Balmoral and get a really good experience with that. I was sitting last night with Cameron and he poured me a phenomenal 38-year-old Glenord, single in a Glenord.
Yeah.
And I sat with the glass for ages, and one of the first things I said was, I wish I could give more people that experience.
Yeah.
I wish I could let people... You there, Michelle? Oh no, she's upstairs. I wish I could, especially people that say, I don't get whiskey. I don't like it. Not that I don't like it, but I don't get it. And I said to Cameron, I so wish I could just like have something like that on tap.
Yeah.
To just go, magic, here, try that. That's not what you think whiskey is. Okay, it's a 38-year-old Glenord at maybe £2,800 a bottle. But
going back to the sponsor bit.
You're right, because I've seen it online as well when people are saying, I want to sort of get a malt for the house. I'm not really a whiskey drinker, but I want to get sort of into whiskey. And people will say, like you said, your big iconic drams.
Yeah.
Ones you can freely...
And there's drams out there, I mean,
the supermarket.
there's drams out there that you can do that with.
Yeah.
There are certainly are, but it gives us a...
But it's a type. It's
on
not
Mark's
a-
point, cheers as well.
cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
I've not tried this yet, actually.
So this is a Tomatin 18, is it?
Tomatin 18, all
Super.
it's a sherry cask, 46% natural colour, naturals, not natural strength, it won't be at 18 years old. I was keen to try this because, again, looping back into the conversation about indie bottlers, that's a phenomenal example of Tomatin because it's bursting with
The Tomatin
fruit.
6.
Yeah. Bursting with fruit. It's all about the distillery. I think there's a point with European oak and particularly sherry casked, although we all know that it's potentially not just the sherry, where it starts to fight against.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm keen to see if that tropical fruitiness remains in this.
Yeah. There's
It's
a bit of that
awesome.
coming through, but going back to your point on the experience side, and we're going to do the sponsorship part here, is I've mentioned it already, but getting an opportunity to try Rosebank 32 or Rosebank 33 on a tour.
Sure.
We did the tour a few weeks ago. It's been out now for a couple of weeks. You're still, Whisky Stories podcast listeners are still getting 15% off on the tours and the Tamdhu experience that you're getting at the Rosebank Distillery.
To go next week.
Now, you jump a train in Edinburgh. Someone already has asked on the Facebook group after I said this as we're recording this. I said, you're literally less than 40 minutes on the train to Falkirk or Gamelin. It's 10-minute drive, I think it is. You can get a taxi or something like that, or if you're lucky, Jake Adcock.
Yeah,
we'll pick you up as he did for us. I don't think he is a taxi driver there. But again, an opportunity. I've told 3 or 4 people who I know are like my mum. Right? I've said to my mum.
You know your mum.
I know my mum.
You know
I know
your
my mum.
3 or 4 people I know, like my mum.
Like my mum. 3 or 4 people I know that. They like the idea of a dram. They don't drink a lot of whiskey or anything like that. But I said, look, see, you're your pals. You get a wee day out. I said, you'll get 50%. Please use a 50% discount so your McCoy distillers can see that it was worth inviting us along. But the point of the matter is, I think anyone could go to that now. The two things it does, and it's like what we're going all the way back to what we were talking about: new distillery versus old distillery. Well, you've got a mixture of both there, right? You've got the legacy of the Rosebank, right? You've got the history of the Rosebank, but you're in a new distillery, which is laid out perfectly for it to. And in fact,
there's enough harking back and enough quirks in terms of the stills.
The Bobby Mill.
That they can have these stories.
Tell us about the Bobby Mill, Angus.
What's the Bobby Mill?
Tell us about the Bobby Mill at Rosebank Distillery. The quirkiness about the Bobby Mill.
Well, it was originally from Port Ellen. Is that right?
No.
I've got that wrong.
No, Angus, I've got a video clip of you telling me about this. The Bobby.
I've forgotten it all though.
Now wait a minute. I might be wrong.
I
here.
thought it was from
no. The Bobby Mill was at Rosebank. No, sorry, you're right. Sorry, it was Port. Sorry, I do apologise. Angus,
It was originally.
I'll cut that little bit out where I got it wrong. There.
It was originally at Port Ellen.
Yeah.
And then it came to Rosebank, but it had been
1937 or 1938.
But it was originally a rose. You know, it served the old distillery.
Yeah.
Not none of the stills are old. They're all brand new, etc., etc.
But the mill, the barley mill is
the barley mill
original.
is from the
It's sat
1930s.
Is it a roller mill?
Pass.
It is a roller mill.
Alright, there you go. Angus was
It's
but,
not- it's-
but Angus was nominated as head of good points that day because Angus said, out of everything that's in this distillery, right, the mill is the only thing that had the old barley that used to go through old Rosebank, and will have the new barley that's going through for new Rosebank. That's sitting there.
Yeah.
But they bought it. You're right. They bought it from Port Ellen. I thought,
But that was the quirk that it had been at Port Ellen.
and they don't know how old it. They don't know how old it was. I reckon it's over 100 years old. But so you've got that heritage there. You've got the new stills, but the new stills put in there a little bit. But and you get a great tour. But it's wrong for me to say this as such. But I just think like to get an opportunity to try a 32-year-old or 33-year-old Rosebank, depending which tour you take, it's just an incredible he's going to produce a bottle soon, isn't he? I know he's going to. Oh no, he's got a sample there. Look.
Oh yeah, look. 32-year-old Rosebank. Haven't even tried it yet.
but it's there. But
I was going to wait till I had a sore throat for a toddy.
Did you not rate it back in 1993? Did you know? Not Mike Jackson was talking a load of nonsense.
This is super.
But the point of the matter is like that in itself is an opportunity for somebody who isn't into whiskey to walk into a distillery. They get to see it, and the way they've laid it out is perfect. It's not confusing. It's like, this is where you go, this step, this step, this step. The steps are all laid out, as J. Cad Cook once said.
Yeah.
And it goes through that, but then you get the tasting experience. I think you get a Glengoyne 15 and a Rosebank 32 on the £50 one. And you get a...
Stunning.
But a Rosebank 32 is that spirit that somebody could actually go, I don't really like whiskey, but I could drink that.
It's like perfume. It's like perfume. When Glenfiddich brought out the 26 Excellence, which was a fabulous whiskey, just the paler than that, 26 years old.
Yeah.
And people didn't get it. Brian Kinson was really happy with it. He was really proud of it. Just worked for Kelvin Cooperage. Was it actually the first full release from him? Because David Stewart just moved over. I think it might have been. Before I worked for him, so it was about 15 years ago, 16 years ago. And Cameron at Balmoral and I always went, that's phenomenal. But see the amount of people you put it in front and they look at it and it would almost disappear in the glass. It was so
really
pale.
So pale.
Oh, what's
But
this?
then they'd smell it and go, what is that? And it just smelled like potpourri. And you could see people that were not whiskey drinkers and you could see it, the dials shift where they were just like, instead of going, yeah, that's what I expected, they were like, why am I, what?
To be able to take a nose full, to be able to take, like you say,
how is that so floral?
And then they'd try it and it would be a nice enough experience for them. Some people would still go, it's still quite, because it was 46% or 43%. I even got a bottle upstairs actually, I do. Which I bought that night before I worked with them. But giving people the opportunity, as you say, and that's a very clever thing by Rosebank, because it's really well positioned to get a high influx of tourists.
Yeah, absolutely.
And turning someone on, giving someone the opportunity of seeing, if you spend your entire whiskey tourism drinking life in the blends to £60 bottles, and never experience it, and it isn't experienced,
Yeah.
then you think all whiskies are the same.
Yeah.
You know, and if you can give someone a 32 Rosebank or a 26 Glenfiddich Excellence or a 38-year-old Glenord or whatever it might be and go, this is going to blow your mind, or a 36 Tomatin,
Yeah.
this is going to blow your mind. The aromas, whether you think you can't get flavour out of whiskey at all. My dad's like that. He's like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I can't. I know you know what you're doing with your job and somebody pays you to do it, but he says it just all smells like whiskey to me. And I've actually sat down with him with blend 12-year-old and like 30-year-old and gone, you tell me they all smell the same. And I'm fortunate enough to
They
be
don't
able to
taste
do
like
it.
whiskey.
No, he's getting slightly better, but he's probably be in his coffin before he's buying me a dram.
But yeah, I mean, I think like what you're saying about that Glenord, if you are in a position to give somebody that experience, but on the flip side of that, going back to brand ambassador, the person that they speak to, being at tastings, it wasn't you that took it, but I was.
You went to
I was 18.
You went to another tasting.
A Glenfiddich. I was 18. If anyone's watching or listening.
Oh yeah.
Right. And it was the Edinburgh Edinburgh Food and Wine, or they take you out to, it's like a building out in the castle, Kirkliston area.
Yes,
and
I've done it. You cook all day and then they do a tasting at the end of it.
Other people have been on that I know that you were the one that was doing the tasting. Yeah. But when I did
it once, that's quite.
Well, it was my brother. My brother was on
Oh,
it.
right. There you are.
Yeah, my brother was on it. Yeah. So
He would have tasted it all and said, tastes like whiskey.
he's that guy. But he said that Mark Thomson loves him, Sally. I said, no, but he.
Funny, I don't remember your brother.
No, he's a very forgettable character.
He is now.
But I went on that when I was. It would have been 2006, right? So that's how long ago it was. I can't remember who it was.
Wouldn't it have been Jamie Milne? Could have been Jamie Milne.
I think it was a blender. I want to say it was a blender. I can't remember too much about it. It was a very good tasting. But point of the matter is, it was the core range of the Glenfiddich. Yeah, 12.
Would have been 12, 15, 18.
Now I did it a second time as well, and there was the IPA one on it. I can't remember. Anyway, and it went up. But bottom line was the experience was what it was, and that's for me. That is my entry level into whiskey. Was that day?
Yeah. Great.
18 in a day, effectively,
yeah.
right? And I'll never forget that, and being able almost to pals when you're 18 and saying we're going to have a wee drink, and I'm pulling out a Glenfiddich and going, I've got this, and a Glenfiddich 12, and folk are going, what the hell are you doing with
and
that?
your pals have got Mad Dog.
Yeah, get on the MD 2020 or whatever. I'm going, no, you need to appreciate this because it's been matured for this length of time and this, that, and next thing. It sounded like an absolute knocker when I was 18.
I didn't drink whiskey. And I started young and then stopped, and I was Johnny Walker and Coca-Cola.
Yeah, but it's the experience.
All the way through.
Yeah.
I didn't actually get to it until maybe late 20s. Johnny Walker, Coca-Cola, and I went to live in Ibiza and worked out there for a couple of years. And because it's hot,
You'd have done well, eh?
I was the PR manager for Cafe Mambo.
Were you? Right.
Just as Radio 1 came in.
Welcome to Ibiza Stories with Mark Thomson.
No. What happens on the White Isle stays on the White Isle. Yeah, 2 years straight through.
Really?
PR manager for Cafe Mambo.
Did you end up in Highlander a few times?
I ended up in a mess a lot. But yeah, Johnny Walker Coke. And then too hot, too sticky. So then lemonade, then soda, then down to neat.
Yeah.
Hota Bay, J&B was the
Hota
big
Bay.
Hota eBay.
Wow.
And that was my journey into whiskey. So I was 20, what was that, 97. No, I was out 96, 97.
Wow. So that's so right. Look, just I'm trying to remember back to your first episode that we did. Was it ladies' wear you were involved in?
Yeah, women's underwear.
Women's underwear.
I worked in women's underwear. No one could see it because of the suit I had on.
Right, women's underwear. A rep in Ibiza.
Wasn't a rep, you dick.
No,
I was the PR manager for Cafe Mambo.
You got a bit of Wayne Lineker about you.
It was, I was out there 95. I went out seasonally from 95 to 98.
Right,
But
and then
for 2 years.
And then what was next?
I came back and started working in Fashion.
Fashion.
Before I'd gone out to Ibiza, I was working for Sears Group, and it was Miss Selfridge.
And then it was. Then
I went to Ibiza. Then I went to Glasgow and started working for Cruise, the clothes shop. And I was a buyer. Well, I was a trainee buyer for them. And then I got into bars, part-time job.
Yeah.
And that part-time job became full-time job.
Yeah.
And then I got into wine. I was just actually talking to someone because I was sitting in front of a wine fridge.
Yes.
And I collect a lot of Chateau Mazar. And I met Serge Hochard, the guy, he's passed away now. And it was in a deli called, and this is again one of these things that sticks with you for life. So Chateau Mazar is it's a Lebanese wine.
Right.
It's quite coveted and quite collectible. And my current girlfriend, also called my ex-wife, when we had a house, we had a cellar in Wandsworth. And I'd gone to a tasting in Peckham and Rye. There's a little deli that used to be in Glasgow. I think there might still be one on Byers Road, but anyway, cool little thing. This is back in 94, 95. And the guy I was working with said, you should come over to this deli, there's a wine tasting happening. And it's a guy from Beirut, Bekaa Valley. It's like, wow, that sounds great. Go over, it's Serge Hochard himself. And he's doing this tasting with these wines, and he's got stuff in the 1970s, 1980s. It's 7 years in oak before it gets released. It's just fabulous. Anyway, I bought loads of it, and I remember at the time I was buying cases of things like 1983, 1984, 1985 Chateau Mazar for like £8 to £11 a bottle. And I had quite a collect, and it was just because I'd met the man. And he travelled to Glasgow, and I'm just like, I've never met a winemaker in my life before, and the first one I meet and sit and have time with is from Beirut.
Yes.
And his wine is funky, but it's brilliant, and so that was me hooked for life. Life.
And then bottles left.
Through divorce, my ex, her friend had a bigger cellar, so we had all our stuff there. I mean, we're talking like a 1985 Mazar now is like £750 a bottle.
Really?
Right.
You were getting it for like 11 quid.
Good lord.
And when we got divorced, my ex periodically would just send me a video of her opening and pouring another bottle. Because I didn't get to the cellar quick enough to get it all out of her pal's house. So I lost it all.
Did you?
Yeah, but I've got a vertical now from 97 to come.
Oh, wow. Right, what's next for Mark Thomson then?
Well, bought a new house, so this one's on the market. Taken the summer off, got a very, very understanding breadwinning girlfriend. Very understanding girlfriend who's basically said, don't rush. You've rushed from one job to the next. Just take the summer off. Yeah. And it's been a brilliant summer to take off.
Oh, yeah.
So, very fortunate position, spending time with the dogs.
Oh, I've seen it on your Instagram, you're there everywhere.
Yeah. And, you know, people, the great thing has been that people have said things like, here, do you want to come along and do that? Yes.
Yeah.
Do you like Inchterny?
You don't have to check the diary, it's just, let's
guys
go,
are like, let's do it.
Yeah.
Although now, that's been nearly 2 months.
So you've been to Inchterny? Did they take?
God, it's brilliant.
Did they take you into the? This is where we need
Cask
to
collection.
into the little celery bit. That's where we need to go back to.
Underground. Yeah. We didn't even see that. Scott, you're listening.
Yeah, they're great.
Actually, sorry, I do have to say today I was meaning to shoehorn this in somehow or other. It's worked perfectly. I was in Kirkcaldy and a guy with blue hair walked past me, and I looked at him and went, "He's got blue hair," and he was wearing an Inchterny jumper. Right, and he's got work boots on, and he's got the work trousers, workwear, but he's got blue hair, which is what instantly I thought, that guy's walking about with blue hair. Instead, I said, "Do you work at Inchterny?" And he went, "Aye, I do." I said, "I've been there." And he went, "Really?" I said, "What do you do?" We chatted away, and he worked in the warehouse, and he was
massive amount of warehouse.
Huge. And he said
massive,
he's been there. He's been there almost since he'd been there. He said about 7 years or something like that. And he goes, "Do you know, it's amazing to meet somebody that first of all knows who we are, and second of all." Has actually been. Yeah, so he's there, but it was fascinating. But what a place!
I mean, I drove around it. I got an invite. Graham Glenn invited me across, and he saw I had nothing to do. And I was like, "Yeah, why don't we go? I'd love to go round."
Yeah.
And I didn't realise I was going to have the experience I did.
Yeah.
Certainly, I had dived across because I had to take them out in the morning. I couldn't take them with me. and I knew it was going to be sort of 4 or 5 hours, so I'd been out on a big walk with the dogs.
It's not a lot of dog-friendly distilleries.
No. Well, Glenfiddich was. Well, I've got that photograph of me in the still room, but I think it's illegal. And I'd driven around, and it was such a juxtaposition. I stopped at the burger van as you go into the industrial estate and had a burger. And I'm standing with the polystyrene box, eating this burger, thinking, actually, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Looking at the board, and I'm going, it's down there. It says it's down there.
Aye.
And I'm just not feeling hopeful. And then I get to the end of the industrial estate, and I look at the gates, and I see the art next to it, and then you don't see the distillery. I know you guys.
Yeah.
Rang the door thing, intercom, the gates open, and I drive in, and then you turn right, and I went, holy shit!
Yeah.
I mean, I could have literally have been teleported from Glenrothes straight to Speyside.
Which wouldn't have been a bad thing.
No.
Teleported from Glenrothes.
Might have got a better burger as well.
I remember about 2 years ago, before we started doing the podcast, I think you had your cask in the Lowland Bond, potentially. So we were driving past Glenrothes, and Graham said, pull over here, there's a distillery. I'm like, what do you mean there's a distillery? And we just drove up to the gates, and it was like, I know, you said to me, I basically know nothing about this place. No one knows anything about it. It's been producing for, 5 years or something?
9.
Yeah,
but at the time, 5 years or something.
Yeah.
But they've not released anything. It's just
It's bonkers.
It's mystery. And it was like, here we were at the gates, kind of peeking over, trying to see what the hell was going on.
And that's the thing with it. I might noise them up for a bit of work. It encapsulates everything that the whiskey industry is just now.
Yeah.
It's heritage and history because of the old way that they're doing things.
Yep.
They're looking at, they're future proofing.
Yep.
They're using different grains. They're not different. They're not what we're used to now, but they have been used before.
Yeah.
And they're mastering them.
Yeah.
They're becoming the leaders in what they do.
Fife Rye.
Fife Rye.
Good Fife Rye.
Yep.
And that was what took my attention. When, I went and went, okay, another beautiful distillery. Of course, if you've got enough money, you can build a beautiful distillery.
Yeah.
But it was when I met Scott and Graham and sat down and I went, this is bonkers good.
Yeah.
Scott, the engineer of
I
flavour.
know,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just because it is under one roof. But look, we can talk.
We could talk. Yeah.
But Mark, we need to know. Have we got a deal? Angus and I will look after this place while you're up there in Berkshire. We'll sort this place out for you. I can see Angus and I really doing quite well in here.
Well, you'd have to fight over the shower, but it's
We can fight in the shower. No,
that's not something I want to have in my mind.
When we have a shower, he does my shoulders and I do his.
Do you have to condition his back though?
It's his lower thighs that are the problem. Well, I'm going to push you for a 1 dram, a 1-3 dram. 1 dram that you've had since you've been on the pod or something that sticks out, a dram that'll take you away as a memory of Edinburgh. You're not going too far away, but too long.
Oh, that's a good question. It's a really good question. There's been a few because I've focused on indie bottlers for the last 2 years, so there's been so many cool little things come through. At the Whisky Show, the Whisky Fringe, Mike McGinty poured me a Tokaja, I think you guys refer it as.
Oh, incorrectly.
Tokai cask, 23-year-old Royal Bracha.
Yeah.
Which, as something that wasn't mentally priced and an incredibly balanced whiskey, I thought was stunning, and it stuck with me. Last night, I was very fortunate to try some interesting bits and pieces from Cameron. That 38 Glenord is exactly as Glenord should be. It was waxy, funky, not tropical fruit, but there was sort of funky apricot in there, like almost mouldy apricot, but it was a really good way. It's like, I know this nose, and the waxiness of that was fab. So that was a very recent memory. The Bracha is slightly further back. But there's been so many fun little things. What have I got? RM10.
Looking at him,
That's a house dram for us.
Hoose Dram. There we are, Hoose Dram.
It's I've just finished a bottle there, but Aaron 10.
It's a real Ross bar special.
Ross's tail will be wagging.
Oh,
Listen to this.
he loves
He'll be
that.
going, wowzers.
But it's just,
But it is great.
It's buttery, it's fresh,
Yeah.
it's lively, it's spirity, but it's got good balance.
Yeah.
And for the price that you can get it for, I'm like, why would I not? Last night I tried the Springbank 5-year-old.
Right.
I will be buying that. That was grassy, nettily green, funky, Springbank to a T. And most of the things I go for, because I've obviously, when I started in the industry, there were finishes, but there wasn't this plethora.
Yeah.
There was 6 whiskies with Glenfiddich available in the UK. There was like 23 when I left.
Yeah, wow. So,
My basis of what whiskey is if you're going to give me a tomatin, it's like wine. I already know what I expect out of that bottle. So don't get too funky and don't get too wild with it.
yeah.
And if it does, you've lost me. It's a waste of time. And I don't know who you're actually aiming at for a customer. But that Glenmurray is fabulous. That tomatin's brilliant. That 18 is a really nice dram.
Smooth and easy going.
I would potentially go back to that fill from the distillery because that's just screaming and shouting tomatin to me.
Yeah.
Whereas this is a bit more muted, it's a bit richer. I can see who it appeals to. Am I disappointed? No, I'm not disappointed. It's a great whiskey. Is it? If you put that in a glass and that in a glass, would I identify them as tomatin? 100% yes.
On the 6-year-old,
Yeah.
Right, well, how can we sell this house for you? So, what are people? If anyone's looking at this kitchen on our YouTube and going, tell you what, look a bit of that.
Just jump on my Instagram, Single Malt Mark.
Yeah.
Which since I put the dogs up with him with his sock.
Oh, I've seen, the video in the burn.
That's funny. I actually have a Forbes journalist with me, and we're wild swimming, and that was the whole point. We've got a bottle of Scapa 16, the new Scapa 16, and he was doing a piece to camera, and that's when I turned the camera around and grabbed Angus with my sock. 750,000 views.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Really?
Dog Instagram. That's where
If you look, that's why I've posted lots on the dog recently.
Yeah.
But if you look at the followers that I've gained since that,
Yeah.
I think I might change my handle to Single Mum Mark.
Yeah.
Because it's lots of.
I can see that.
There's a certain type with lots of rescue hounds, either widowed or divorced, that seem to have latched on to this.
I can see it now. That I mean, we've gone ladies' wear, underwear. We've gone Cafe Mambo in Ibiza. We've gone whiskey brand ambassador. I could see you with
only grands.
No, a pedigree chump. I can say, hi, I'm Mark Thomson, and I only feed my dogs socks and pedigree chump.
Fuck, if there's anybody listening that will, because you know how much they cost me to feed.
Sponsorship's available. Listen, Mark, thank you so much. It's been Hoose Drams with Mark Thomson. Absolutely fantastic.
So
all the very, very best. And like I said, thank you so much for everyone who listens, gets involved. WSP is the WSP15. That's the 15% discount code you're going to get with Ian McLeod Distillers if you book on to the Rosebank Distillery. Give us a like, give us a follow, keep passing the pod. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's what we're looking for. Give us a follow on whatever you're listening on. Mark, thank you so much for having us. It's great. Lovely house. Thanks for letting us roam around. We've still got upstairs to do. Bye. Cheers, guys. All the very best. Slide you back.
Cheers.